All right, so I am very excited to be here with Ben Loftis of Harrison Audio.
That's right.
Look, you know, one thing when we don't have a host, and it's the second day, is people let me talk to really interesting people and really interesting companies that are not necessarily on Gotham Sound's radar. And so, you know, I'm very excited to talk to you, Ben, because you guys are showing technology that I think might inspire our customers to a different place than they currently are. So Ben, I think let's start with who are you, who is Harrison, and we'll get into it.
Very good. I'm Ben Loftis. I'm the product manager for our Mixbus software. I've been at the company for 25 years, which makes me one of the newer hires at Harrison. We're based in Nashville, Tennessee, and we make mixing consoles.
Sorry, before we go on, I don't want to get our stream pulled. Can they lower the
I can do
music?
that. Yeah,
All
let's
right,
turn
thanks.
it down just a bit.
Yeah. So I think this is actually a great segue.
I got to turn this down for just a second.
To
this is a beautiful reissue of our 1975 original pure analog console that a bunch of huge hits were mixed on. Michael Jackson, Queen, Sade, I mean Led Zeppelin, and Paul Simon, and an endless list of music hits. From that, we moved into the film industry, where we've been for about 20 years, but we were also making broadcast consoles. And what we found is during the pandemic, we had an unusual and interesting little project called Mixbus, which is a DAW. And I can demonstrate that over here. When we had a product called Mixbus, which was a recreation of that analog console in our digital software. And we found that people were using that during the pandemic to mix from their computer. And in some cases, they were even uploading that into the cloud. And they were really struggling to get mix minuses. They were trying to create buses. They were trying to use solo. They were trying to do things to create a broadcast console. Well, we had some experience with digital broadcast consoles. And so I knew what they were asking for. When they were asking for IFBs and they were asking for mix minuses, we said, okay, well, that's pretty tricky to set up in a DAW. Let us make you a customized version that will do those things for you without a whole bunch of clicking and bussing and creating. So we created a new product called Mixbus VBM, and that stands for Virtual Broadcast Mixer. So it's the same platform, a lot of the same sound, but it has buttons that a broadcast person would expect to see. So I'll give you a really quick demonstration. So I've got a session set up. We have two contributors here. These are mono inputs, and the system is highly plug-in based. So you can use a plug-in for input, like NDI is one of our preferred plug-ins, but there are some other audio over Ethernet protocols that use plug-ins. And we have a special place, a special window where you instantiate plugins like an NDI plugin that has maybe 32 outputs, and you can route those into the channels, or you can just literally put one channel per plugin if they're coming from disparate sources, and those plugins typically have all the sample rate conversion and things built in. But that's the boring bits. What you really want to know is, how does this work? And it's a broadcast mixer, so you have inputs coming in, we have some metering, have some built-in processing, so there's a denoiser, a de-esser, a leveler, which is a very soft compressor, and an EQ on every channel. And then you get into the busing section. So we have 4 programs, and the program outputs appear over here. You can see my microphone, my laptop microphone feeding the inputs here. We have 4 program outputs, and then we have 4 chat rooms, A, B, C, and D. And you'll see that in broadcast fashion, if I take this fader, this channel, this contributor is currently going out to the program. If I bring the fader down, you'll see program switch to the room A. Now these two are in a chat room together, but when I bring them back, they'll go into, as soon as I bring the faders up, they go to the program. Okay, so these are concepts that are probably familiar to a lot of your audience. On the mix minus side, every time you make a contributor, which is somebody who is effectively calling in over the internet, it will create a mix minus for them. And every time you put them in the same program or the same room, chat room as somebody else, it will send them a mix minus of everybody except themselves. And you have the ability to tweak the level of each of those sends. If somebody is a little too loud for your taste, you can turn them down. We have a compressor on every channel that has an IFB feed, which your producer can use to talk to those chat channels, either all at once, and it will duck everybody while the producer is speaking, or if on the producer side, they can send to multiple individual mix minuses, and they have to figure that side out.
Sure.
But you can send it separately.
But just to give context for our customers that might be watching, the idea is that there's audio sources coming from a remote location.
Right.
And it feeds the audio into the cloud.
Right.
You know, if it's an Amazon server, theoretically it's the same credit card you use to buy cat food.
That's right.
Can have a server in the cloud. And somebody, a mixer, wherever they want to be, wherever they're most comfortable, can be mixing. And you can use a control surface, right? You don't have to use a mouse. Like, it'll read the control surface.
Yes, there is a way to remotely control it using a MIDI protocol, like a Mackie control surface. You can remotely control those faders. I'll point out that this could be run on your local machine. You can run this on a local machine. You can use that as sort of a server, and you can bring everybody's audio to you and mix. But that depends on you having a really stable, really fast connection. So what our customers are doing is they're putting the mixer in a cloud instance. So they'll run a Windows instance typically and run in the cloud, and then everybody, including the producer and the mixer, will be, and or you know, whoever is doing all the work, they can be anywhere, but they're accessing this control screen, and the audio is all converging there in the cloud.
And this isn't a theoretical product. This is used in
People
sports
are using
and
this
broadcast.
now.
Yeah. Do you, can you talk about any clients?
Not much, and it's actually not I'm more of the technical guy.
Got it.
I do know that it's used very heavily in corporate communications in some really big companies.
Yep.
I don't know all the details of that, but I think they are producing live. It's particularly during the pandemic, they started producing these broadcast meetings, and they have video playback. They have different segments that are coming in, and I think some of that they use the multiple programs because different audiences will get a slightly different feed with different video content sometimes. All those details are a little bit outside my realm of experience, but they're telling us what to put in, and we're putting it in.
Sure, and presumably one of those things is a different delays so that everything can hit the console at the same time.
That is actually handled by the system, and NDI, if you run an NDI server on your machine, on the cloud rather, that's what's synchronizing those things. This software doesn't explicitly do that because we want you to be able to use any protocol that somebody has to use. So on the fly, yes, you have this latency compensated NDI thing, but if somebody wants to come in with, I can't remember the name right now, but there are some other plugins that somebody might already have on their iPad, for example. If they want to phone in with that, then you can just drop that in. And yeah, it may be delayed slightly differently, but it's not like a, you're not doing rock and roll where you have to line up the transients of the snare exactly. I don't think anybody's ever noticed the
Got it.
The difference in those two transmission mediums,
Sure.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So we have the mix minus, just to continue the little tour, we have the mix minuses, we have an IFB bus that ducks the signal to the mix minuses when the producer talks through the IFB bus, and then you have your final program buses, and you can add plugins for processing, and this is the monitor path. So the 4 programs can go out with whatever processing you like, and then you have a monitor path specifically for the operator, and they can do whatever processing they need before it's sent back on a post-fader listen bus.
And they're monitoring remotely over NDI or
That's right.
a similar protocol.
That's right.
That's awesome. Ben, thank you. Are there, Jared, are there any questions that have come in?
No further questions at the moment.
All right. No questions at the minute. I hope we've sort of inspired people. Ben, it's really great to talk to you.
Very cool. Thank you guys so much for coming.
Thank you.
It's been a fun show. I'm sorry that you have to keep hearing Thriller in the background, but that's our life. We love it.
As long as YouTube is okay with it, we're okay with it. And honestly, people should check out Harrison Mixbus. It doesn't have to live on the cloud, of course. So, Ben, thank you so much for talking to us.
Thank you very much.